Yes, that's fine. We've got a deputation on the item. Thank you. Thank you for reminding all of us on protocols, Alderman Briscoe.
That's okay.
Okay. Okay, so we're just listening to the deputation first. I think we've got to open the item. Is that correct, General Manager?
Yes,
Okay, so is there any? There's no apologies, is there? No apologies. Actually, the deputy for 10 minutes. Indication of pecuniary conflict of interest. Any? There be none. Any transfer agenda items? Be none. We've got a report from the North Hobart Traders, the North Hobart Retail and Entertainment Precinct. But we have a delegation from the North Hobart Retail Traders Association, Mr. John Kelly and Mr. Aaron Brasendale. And then we've got Miss Jenny Smith and Mr. Graham Birch from the North Hobart Community Association. Mr. Kelly, if you'd like to come forward. Mr. Brasendale's not with you, I see.
No, Mr. Chairman, unfortunately he's been with some sick people at his work, so he's unavailable here.
Okay, look, Mr. Kelly, you've got 5 minutes, just like the other deputation will have as well. Doesn't matter how many people, you only get 5 minutes.
On behalf of the North Hobart Traders, I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, this afternoon. And look, we appreciate any initiatives that Council make towards North Hobart trading strip and the community and the suburb in general being enhanced. So this is good, and we really appreciate the report of this substance, the way it was conducted, and we were involved, and the residents were, and all that sort of thing. Look, you know, we're fully supportive of, I've got to say, just about everything in this report is good stuff. It really is. You know, the transport, having activities, events, festivals in North Hobart, the streetscape, you know, getting alternative routes and laneways and all that sort of thing. It's some really good things. So we do support it. We do say we had a meeting the other day and representing about 20 traders. And look, overall, we're saying let's keep this really simple. Prioritise what we want or what needs to be done and set achievable results. You know, a lot of what's said in this report is that, you know, it's great to be able to do this or should be done, it's going to cost so much money, but we realise that's probably not going to happen for years and all that sort of thing. And the traders, look, we are weary now, especially having gone through COVID and all that sort of thing, and we just want to see some real tangible results to give us confidence and galvanise the traders as well. So that's the thing. The two big burning issues to really go to the nub of the issue for us is that food delivery service vehicles and Condell Place. Food delivery service vehicles, the state government need to legislate to change it as they have in other states. The whole process is laid out, chapter and verse. It can be copy and pasted. It runs brilliantly in Victoria. I think the state has done that. The vehicles have got to be identifiable, and from there they can't place. No different to a cab parking on the space. The public, they have their own ranks. This Uber Eats or the food delivery service vehicles should be exactly the same. It's not up. We've had representation to Ferguson and some other state government representatives. They'll give us a sympathetic ear, but look, really we can only do so much, and we really firmly believe it's not the full role of the traders to do that, but it's up to the council to do it. It says in this report here that council should assist the traders. It's up to the council, the officers and our elected members to go in hard, and really you guys are the ones that the state government are going to sit up and take notice of. So that's a real big issue we'd like to really push tonight here. The Condell Place car park. Look, there's a lot said about that. Our view is, as far as green spaces go, North Hobart has an abundance of green space. Council purchased Soundy Park some 40 years ago, and it's one of the biggest and best parks, green spaces, in any municipality. There's a Swan Street car park. Not Swan Street car, there's a Swan Street Park in front of the church opposite the State Cinema. Fantastic facility. It is going to be upgraded soon. The new toilets opposite made it usable for events and activities and all that. So, and it's not to mention all the other parks immediately in West Hobart surrounding North Hobart that can be utilised for green space. say that more festivals should be held there or other activities in Condell Place car park, we just think no. Condell Place was purchased by council some 50 years ago as a car park, just as the park areas have, and that's how it should be. We fully support looking at any potential use of that, and that the only fair and equitable way and business way to do that is through a DIY. And through that, all the issues can be put on the table. It might turn out to be good, it might not turn out to be good, but that is the proper and decent thing to do. We're miffed as to why residents and certain council people just don't want to do an DIY. It only takes a short amount of councillors' officers' times. It's non-binding. It's no legalities to it. It's just seeing what can come in. A good result could be happen from that. You know, accommodation could go there, more parking, and there could even be some other green space attached to it.
30 seconds.
Traders would appreciate any assistance we can get. We are flat stick running our businesses, and that's why Aaron couldn't be here tonight. I'm a resident of North Hobart too. I think the North Hobart resident thinks it's a great thing. I don't necessarily agree with everything. I've been a resident for 40 years. I ride a bike here tonight. I do all these green things. I come down the excellent pathways, parked out the front here. I fully support all of these initiatives, but be careful what you do with the parking in North Hobart. As far as fully dedicating these spaces on the park full time, they won't get used. Part time, maybe. Why not try some options like that?
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Just to be, if there's any questions, I'll go through. Alderman Briscoe, then I'll go to Councillor Harvey.
Thanks, Mr. Kelly. You know, as the council last council meeting changed parking in Elizabeth Street in North Hobart for some during the day for half an hour paid parking. Do you think that will have a beneficial effect on Uber Eats cars?
Not really. It's a positive step. As far as paid parking goes in North Hobart, 90% of the traders I speak to are opposed to it. It creates a psychological and financial barrier for people wanting to stop, especially for these people going to newsagents, picking up food and the like. They see these parking meters, they don't want to know about it. It is confusing how you've got a couple of hours in the morning and afternoon, and then you've got the other ones. It's all too hard, and if you're like me and I see a parking meter, I just keep driving, you know. It creates this barrier. And there's some really good case samples in Melbourne where, particularly Yarraville, where there's a cinema, coffee shops and the like, carbon copy of North Hobart, they put parking meters in. There was absolute furore about they ripped them out. Be very, very careful about this whole issue. It's great what's been done to Condell Place car park as far as making that between 6 and 9 free. Fantastic result, and we really appreciate council's efforts to do that. But paid parking on the strip, it just destroys the whole soul of the local area like that as well. There may be some small merit in being able to move on, but once again, let's get to the root of the problem, and that's having these Uber food delivery service vehicles being able to be identified and having the state government legislation to fix it. It's as simple as that. This is a band-aid effect which can have some bad effects on the soul.
Thank you.
Councillor Harvey?
Yes, Mr. Kelly, you know what we're doing tonight with regard to the recommendation?
Yes.
It's for the 10 questions to go out. So the issues you're raising, we won't be discussing tonight. We won't be looking at trying to resolve anything.
No.
It's purely for those 10 questions to go out for engagement based on a deferral from last time because you said you hadn't had enough time to engage with those 10 questions. So are you happy tonight, now that you've had time to refer to the 10 or see the 10 questions, and you're happy with the draft that we have tonight?
Yeah, it's a good thing. It should be kept simple though. I mean, a lot of people said to me it's just too much detail there to digest and all that, and especially busy people, and that's just the way of the world as well. People will resist, there's a lot of stuff to read. It's good stuff, don't get me wrong, but be careful as far as the quantity of it goes.
Well, we're agreeing tonight on what we've got, so.
Sure. But what I said is a real good background to a lot of this to carry forward into it, and you know, a lot of what I said there addresses these questions in here.
And just a follow-up question, can I just get an idea of the depth of the Traders Association in North Hobart? What's the membership and how many members do
60
you have?
members at the moment.
60 individuals or 60 businesses?
60 businesses. And as I said, it's really, really tough to get someone to do this on a voluntary basis. I did it for a number of years, got it started up again. Aaron Brasendale, as a trader, has taken it over as president. I'm vice president. We meet every couple of months. To get any traders into one room at one time is almost impossible with the hours that we work in that. And it's so hard. You know, I devoted one of my staff for many, many hours to do a lot of this work of setting up and getting people in the database, having the meetings and all that sort of stuff. But it's very unified. There's a really good spirit amongst the traders to do something about it. Some assistance from council. I've always said there should be some conduit between the small
Yeah, you
business
asked
and
me a
council.
question, yeah. After the sorry.
We just see a real lack of, apart from, of course, we've got Alderman who are a representative, but it's just hard. It's really hard to get the paperwork out, keep websites maintained, email lists and all that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Brackus.
Thanks, Chair. And Mr. Kelly, just in regards to the questions specifically, and given how this whole conversation started in the first place regarding the precinct, regarding the North Hobart sort of plan, do you think that there's enough specificity or enough sort of mention of the sort of core issue that the businesses are facing, being the parking?
There's 1 or 2 points there on it. I think that it could be probably a bit more. And that I'm contradicting what I'm saying.
This is the updated version as well.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah.
It's okay, and it's a good starting point. It touches on what needs to be done, and we just need. You know, we've seen this picture of Marty standing outside the front of Condell Place. I think it's 12 years ago in the Mercury. Nothing has happened, and it's hard for us to maintain our spirit. We have these meetings. What's been done with council, especially a lot of guys on the edge who just float in and out of some of these meetings, and we go back and say, look, we're still talking and coming back, and people become very, very disillusioned. That's what I'm saying with a lot of these, with the place vision. It's got to have achievable results and see stuff that actually happens. And a lot of that too, it just happens no matter anyway. A lot of what's said in this report, I guess a lot of this can be done by council officers, and it should be. It is happening in some regards. So there has been some scepticism about this report. A lot of people have said, why have we spent 100 grand, 200 grand, whatever it is, on a report that, a lot of council should be doing this anyway. This is the bread and butter of what officers in the council, with some very talented and good officers who can do this sort of report. So there's a little bit of scepticism as far as getting a mainland body come over to do something like this.
Lord Mayor, then Alderman Thomas.
And sorry, Alderman Zecco.
Sorry.
No.
I didn't see. I'm sorry.
It's okay, try it.
So we'll go Lord Mayor, I think, and then Alderman Thomas. Yeah, Councillor Dudder. Sorry about that.
Thanks, John. I'm just wondering whether did you see that there was talk about a sort of town teams approach that potentially would allow, some resourcing to actually go into the traders and the residents working together to identify which projects they might like to roll out, and what did you think about that idea?
It was good. We went to a lot of trouble to set up the North Hobart Traders website, and it was great. We got some assistance from the General Manager to get a graphic design to set it up, and it was such a good thing. We put questions on there at times, and people can correspond and do that instead of having meeting after meeting. So the team charter is good. Once again, Lord Mayor, we just like to see results, and it's easy to just sit back and say it's just meeting after meeting after meeting. We appreciate that's got to be done. These reports have to be done, but nothing really much is happening in North Hobart at all since the revitalisation program that was done in the year 2000, 2001, I think it was. Fantastic result. The streetscape for North Hobart, which was transformed, the lighting, the street furniture, the paving, and all that. But since then, it's become very, very cheap around the edges. Nothing's still happened to Swan Street car park, the Swan Street Park. Report after report's been done on Condell. We just want to see some results, And the festival thing's a great thing too, to be able to do. This just hasn't been festivals up there. We appreciate it. We've got to come to the table with ideas as well, but it's a two-way street.
But the parking decision we made last week, there is. Do you agree that all the various changes, the Elizabeth Street, the Condell, the Lefroy free parking, the reorganisation of the side streets. Do you agree that that needs to sort of time to be implemented and evaluated as to what impact it's had?
It should have, and the timing, I mean, I don't want to sound too facetious here, but we look at Lefroy Street, the extension to that. We were promised that was going to be done. Nothing's happened. No other traders haven't heard anything back as to what state that's at. You know, and we just get this disillusionment with nothing happened. You know, nothing's changed in the whole sort of thing. And getting back to your question, though, yes, that was positive to see that. We don't agree, the great majority don't agree with the parking meters going in. Condell Place hours change was good. And a lot of this information that's gleaned from the census was an excellent innovation. We fully subscribe to that, and it gets people moved on and all that sort of thing. But we just do want to retain that village atmosphere. We feel the parking meter issue, it just destroys the fabric of that. I don't know, there's just not something nice about that. And, so that, and there's a lot of evidence from mainland places trying to be part of it.
Right, Councillor Dutton.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify firstly here is that I understand that you support the report and you think it's very positive. And the second thing is, with regards to the questions, again, you are quite happy with the questions, or you want to modify a few of the questions?
Look, we just feel, let's get some movement on it. If it's going to be quicker to go out with there's nothing wrong with this. It's good. We might not quite agree with that, but that can be fleshed out, I guess, with the responses that come into there. So we just say, if there is a way of probably simplifying some of this that just makes it easier. I mean, a lot of these things, if you agree with some of these things here, that should be happening, and stuff that's not achievable in the short term, we're saying, you know, let's try and pull any questions into stuff that can be looked at and achieved in the short to medium term, not very long term.
And just a third question that I have is, you are quite happy with the process, you think?
It's okay, yeah. It's once again, it's very easy to be critical. I'm fully support councillors' work to do this. What's the alternative? Do nothing. So we'd always like to see things done a little bit quicker. That's my only comment, but we understand the wheels move slowly.
Okay, Alderman Thomas.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Kelly, for many years of work up your way. Was your association concerned in any way in relation to the questions? We've been told we know funding is short, we know that there'll be some critically heavy, hard decisions to make. The problem for me in this report is that in these questions, it says list your top 5, tick your top 5. It doesn't say tick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for me, is that an issue for you?
It is, once again, it's not distilled enough to me. I don't know, there's a lot on there that's just,
Because some person could have, there could be a 50% say that one thing is it, but we don't know because they're ticking 5.
And I just think you're just going to get so many variations of the theme or opinions on this, or it's just going to just alphabet soup of, information overload, and with that, nothing seems to happen. I come back to this prioritisation. Look, it's all well intended, we get that. But one day I learned the state cinemas, we just had to really prioritise on certain these achievable results. Look at all the options, look out there, make a decision and get on with it, and that's enough. As I said, we saw that fantastic result. That was 20 years ago now. Nothing's happened. It hasn't been a street festival in North Hobart for about 15 years. The only ones that really happened have been the Jazz Festival, which happens on a yearly basis by itself. We just need a bit of a morale lift too, I guess, especially this COVID period and all that sort of stuff. And a lot of the worst of that's about to come, I think. So that's an important thing as well.
Thank you. There's no other questions. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kelly. Now we have, Ms. Smith and Mr. Birch. Could you come forward? You have 5 minutes between you.
we want to thank the committee for the opportunity to make this representation. Our interests are to work with all the stakeholders to make North Hobart a better place to live, to work, to visit. We want to stress the point that all interested parties need to work together with open minds. We believe we need to define our common interests so that we can deal with tensions that will inevitably arise from time to time. We can deal with them in an equitable manner, and all the voices need to be heard. We want an environment where businesses can thrive and where residents feel they're part of a community and where visitors want to come. This is important to us. These aren't mutually exclusive ideals, and we believe that all parties can work together to realise these possible benefits. Residents need a vibrant retail strip, businesses need residents who want to support their businesses, and visitors want a location that engages them. We acknowledge that development needs to happen, that precincts need to evolve in response to citizens' expectations. And having said that, any development, whether architectural or urban design, needs to be sensitive to its surrounds. It needs to be contextual. It simply needs to fit. We're seeing some evidence of this in North Hobart, and it's a good thing. We congratulate the Council for initiating this place vision process, and we fully endorse all the work to date. We're supportive of the key proposals and recommendations under consideration today, and we believe the proposed questions are a great way to take the discussion forward. They give ample scope for a wide range of views to be collected and collated. We're enthusiastically supportive of the town team model. We believe this is a great way forward as it facilitates constructive engagement. There will always be competing interests that need to be resolved, but if people can engage openly and honestly, we'll start to understand each other's points of view. Stakeholders may not always get what they want, but if there is a frank and honest consideration of the issue, it will increase understanding and lessen frictions. Talking to people, this seems to be what they want. We need to minimise potential misrepresentation and suspicion and the second guessing of others' agendas. All everyone wants is for North Hobart to be a better place for them to live, to do business and to visit. It's a pretty simple concept.
Thank you.
Okay. Our only real note of caution is regarding Condell Place. This is an important space that's pretty crucial to the way North Hobart works, both now and into the future. It needs careful consideration. In our view, this can only happen within wider lens of the precinct plan. We have no confirmed view on its usage, and I need to stress that because there seems to be this idea that we want some sort of massive green space there. That's not true. What we want, we put forward other ways of thinking about it, but we are not wedded to any idea. I stress that. What we do want is a full and transparent process to occur regarding any decisions on this space. There seems to be some haste to go to an EOI. Why? What's the imperative? Are you suggesting that the precinct will need to respond to any resulting development? And that's what will have to happen. It should be the other way around. Any development should be a response to the precinct plan so that it's fit for purpose and contextual. The risk is the wrong development will have an adverse effect on business and residents alike. There seems to be a rush for the development's sake without understanding the risk in getting it wrong. Fast-tracking this may result in tokenistic and poor concepts being badly executed, and everyone will have to live with the consequences, particularly with regard to amenity, parking and traffic generation. Once again, Condell Place needs to contribute to North Hobart and not detract from the precinct. We believe that an EOI at this point would only consider commercial aspects and thus subvert the process of community consultation. And as it is council-owned space, any future for Condell Place needs to have community input. Now, I understand that any EOI is non-binding, as John said. EOI processes, though, tend to take on a life of their own and can be difficult to control and manage. There is an expectation that they will deliver something from left field, an unexpected vision. Very rarely do they deliver the breadth of thinking or the exciting vision that proponents espouse. They can start out fine, but then project realities can deliver something less than expected. Stakeholder expectations are always tested by the imperative of time, cost and quality. It is always quality that loses out, as this is a subjective one. An example is contextual urban design. Great idea to get a project up, get it through the gates, but one is easily discarded once time and cost issues are pressing. And that's where the race at the bottom begins and you start getting something that's inappropriate. It's in all our interest for Condell Place to work as a space that contributes to North Hobart and the wider city. If it is to be developed, let's get it as right as we can for all stakeholders. We don't believe that a preemptive EOI at this stage is appropriate. We see significant risk in that track. So, once again, we're just concerned that commercial...
Mr Birch?
Sorry?
30 seconds.
Yep, we're just concerned that maybe commercial imperatives will overtake the best interest of the Hobart community. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Alderman Briscoe.
Thank you. Whilst you said that we all have to work together as a community, you have expressed a view opposite to a lot of the business community up there. Do you think that there is a need for more car parking in North Hobart?
Most definitely. I'm a North Hobart resident.
Yeah.
I'm also a traffic engineer by profession.
Yes. So if an expression of interest brought, for example, enabled more car parking in Condell Place, how is that affecting all the community vision?
Well, it depends what you mean by parking. So if you're saying parking is part of a multi-storey development,
It could be just one floor, 2 floors of parking. The ground floor
okay,
and the first.
could be 2 floors of parking, great. Fantastic. Who operates that? Is it the council?
Yeah, the details you'd have to.
Yeah, that's right. Is it because what the report says, not suggest that commercially a 2-storey car park there would not be something to be viable. I'd certainly like to see a business plan for that. The other aspect of it too, we need to be cognizant of this fact that it's great, entertainment precinct, let's have a multi-storey car park there. The fact is, you'll get significant underuse of that facility, and I speak from experience, because those facilities are not perceived as being safe at night. You've got a lot of money that's going to be put to the ongoing maintenance in terms of your CCTV, lighting, lifts, stairwell management, things of that nature. And my experience, what you do, people park in surrounding streets only because they don't want to be going to a car park in a multi-storey car park late at night.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Lord Mayor?
I'm just wondering about the, tonight we're just dealing with the survey of the next stage of consultation. In particular, in terms of this issue of, your concerns about Condell Place or the issue of this precinct plan and what, I get whether the survey asks enough questions to help us.
I think the survey, correct me if I'm wrong here, encapsulates the process to date. We think it's a really good way to go forward. I think it's a pretty simple survey. I disagree with John. I think there's ample opportunity with the way it's structured for people who want to put qualitative assessment in. They've got the opportunity to do that, to expand on their answers.
And what is it something that will the association be involved in promoting it at all, or how do you envisage we actually get people to fill it in?
That's always a tricky one. We have done letter drops in the past around it. We've got a dedicated team of letter droppers around the area, so we're happy to do that, for example, a bit of door knocking and so on, because we want to get a lot of views in there. North Hobart has a lot of professionals in the area, and the council can get that professional expertise for free just by saying, hey, what's your opinion on this? How do you think this can work? It would be great for everything, really.
We haven't got all the answers.
And do you meet with the traders at all in terms of how you'd both sort of get the ideas?
We would like to. We're finding it a little bit difficult. We've been door knocking traders the past week or so, talking to them, because we see they are vitally important to any solution in North Hobart. Without the traders being able to make profits, realise their vision for their business, North Hobart dies. Simple as that. We've got to plug into that.
This is where a town team would go.
Yeah. I know, we really want to work with the traders because we recognise their importance.
Any other questions, Councillor Dutto?
Thank you.
Councillor Alderman Thomas.
Through you, Chair, just one question. This was deferred because of the questions that was placed in that other meeting that we had, and therefore the question to you as well, are you happy with the questions, or is there anything you want to modify?
No, we think the questions are fine.
Okay.
The modifications that happen with the questions make them a little bit more, if not why not, instead of saying, why do you say this? That was a good change. Small changes are good ones.
Okay, Alderman Thomas.
The same question I posed to Mr. Kelly. Money's going to be tight for all of these things. Are you at all concerned to see a prioritisation? Somebody's responding back to that survey. At the moment it says just tick your top 5. It doesn't say tick your, number your top 5 in order of preference.
Well, surely it would be up for council to distill the top 5, but then for council to respond what's actually doable in terms of cost. and go back to the community. I mean, I think times are tough. All levels of government are struggling. And there's got to be recognition of that within the community. I think the community does make that recognition. But there are some things that can relatively low cost that you can do, an easy win, so to speak. But you've got to have an aspirational idea of what you want for the precinct, for North Hobart generally. You just can't go back to the lowest common denominator all the time and say, oh, we can't afford to do that, we can't afford to do that. I understand the cost imperatives that you've got, but you've also got to produce a vision. You've got to get people to come along with you with that vision, residents and business. And that's your job.
Okay, Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thanks, Chairman. Just a question, just following up on Alderman Thomas's question. So, I mean, there are some short-term suggestions here, questions around short-term and then that sort of longer-term vision. So that might come out of those questions, do you feel?
We'd hope so, and we had previously sent a letter to council saying here's some quick wins from this that shouldn't cost too much, that would be easy to do. So, yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
I'll just make one more comment. We don't want to see any more football ovals in North Hobart. What we want to see is some little spaces developed so people can get a coffee, people get some takeaway and sit, meet people. And there's not a lot of opportunity for that to happen in North Hobart. No. That's what we want in additional space.
Just very
Alderman
quick,
Briscoe.
follow on from that one. It's pretty tight, the space in North Hobart. Where you're suggesting?
Absolutely.
Yeah, where are you suggesting?
Well, I don't know. I mean, gee, I live in Newdigate Street and I've seen people talking about cutting off the end of Newdigate Street, and I'd say good luck with that. But, you know, I don't know whether we can identify opportunities where we can make a space. As John said, more amenable, you know, space where people want to sit and have a chat.
Swan Street Park doesn't have a table, for example, so you bought your fish and chips and your coffee and you sit them on the seat and then there's no room for someone to sit there.
Yeah, just little things like that.
There's not enough seats.
Well, you know there's a plan for that that's gone through council.
Yeah. But, like I said, we don't want another North Hobart Oval on the western side of Elizabeth Street.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Okay, I'll open the item for discussion. Deputy Lord Mayor.
Yeah, Chairman.
Alderman Briscoe next.
Thank you, and my apologies for being late, but I had needles in my neck, so, so I didn't want to leave
Okay.
too much during that consultation. Chairman, I'm happy to move the recommendations. I think there has been some improvements to the simplification of the 10 questions. So I thank the officers for that. And I'd like just to make a point or a slight amendment really in part 3, which is that because of the change in time on Monday, that it come back in the week Monday the 1st of February, that the council meeting it goes to will be in the second quarter of 2021. So you're happy with that? You've moved that amendment.
I've got a seconder in Councillor Harvey. I don't know, that's actually in committee, that's right, that's okay.
We don't need
all right, no worries, we'll take that on board, that's fine. Alderman Briscoe, then...
look, it's sort of very similar.
Thomas?
Very similar comments to the Deputy. The timing, the community community group did ask for a change in timing of the survey, and it's probably prompted why the Deputy suggested a bit later on the outcome of it. I'd like to thank the officers for taking on board the comments the council made last time, and the questions do read better now, and they don't seem to be biased one way or the other, and enables, as both Mr Kelly and the community group have mentioned, qualitative comments as well. So I think that's good. It's keeping. We haven't got the council shouldn't have a predetermined vision, a predetermined answer, and the questionnaire. And I think the idea of having 10 questions came from Alderman Sexton too, and that focused our attention rather than this huge report. Trying to focus our attention to a number of key issues. And I'm glad parking has come up. I was up in North Hobart going to a movie on Friday night, and there were people driving through Condell car park, couldn't find a space. And even it was wet, there were plenty of cars about looking for spaces. So I know that at peak times there are problems with parking, and people I know haven't found a car spot and they've driven home. So we want to avoid that situation if we can. That I think North Hobart, as we all know, is a vibrant place, and it's vibrant because of the people there and the businesses. And whilst it sits in a suburban area as well, I think sometimes we've got to focus on the businesses in that area, what they need, as well as what happens around in the surrounding suburban area.
Okay, Alderman Thomas.
Yeah, I think we're going to be very much looking in years to come at prioritisation, and I think it's a very simple thing to, in most of those questions, please tick your top 5. Please list your top 5 in order of your preference. It's axiomatic to me. We have to know where the person puts their highest preference when we're making decisions on what we're going to fund. It's not a big thing. Top 5 means which one? I wonder which ones they thought was the most important to them. Let's ask them now. The public, please list your top 5 in order of preference.
Thank you.
I could accept that in, Deputy? You're a member.
Just if I could get some advice on that, is that possible or is that difficult?
Through you, Lord Mayor, yes, it is possible and quite simple to do.
Okay, well, I'm happy to have that added if it's not going to change this.
Put it in. Alderman Sexton.
I was just going to ask a clarification.
Alderman Thomas, can you clarify your amendment, please?
Is it just on one of the questions?
All of the ones, whenever it says please list your top 5, I want to know what people really want 1 to 5.
Alderman Sexton and Alderman Barakis and Councillor Harvey.
Just a comment on the, so the Condell Place thing has been now mentioned in a couple of different places, and that's great. The only issue that I've got, I suppose, is that it's a little bit confusing to me. So it seems the current operation of Condell Place as a car park being maintained, that's the short term. And then further down it says under the topic Condell Place car park, should the future use and development of Condell Place be considered as part of a longer term part of the longer term precinct plan? Well, I'm sure everybody would say yes. And in line with the place vision for the North Hobart, maybe, depends, but there doesn't seem to be a long-term question that says, should the redevelopment of Condell Place include long-term car parking? It doesn't. There's nowhere where that's specifically asked, and I think it's important that we do ask that. We don't know what the answer will be, and I'm not suggesting that it be maintained as a car park only, and that's what the question in the short-term parking and access question implies, that's all that will happen. Obviously, in the longer term, we would not want it only to be a car park, but there are options for it to be a multifunctional space which includes car parking. And we've done that just at Salamanca. There's a multi-purpose space which includes car parking right there. We've just built it. So there are options for doing it. It could be multi-storey, it could be single-storey. There are all sorts of different options. So I would just like to see a question that is clearer for people. So should the future use and or development of Condell Place be considered as part of the longer term precinct plan and include car parking? It's as simple as that, something along those lines. I don't want to try and word it perfectly now, but I just think we need to have one of these questions which is clear about the long-term use of Condell Place and the place of parking in that. Now, if the majority of the population say, no, we don't want any car parking in Condell Place, well, then that's your answer. If the majority of the population say, yes, we want some form of car parking there, but we don't want it only to be car parking, then that's your answer. So, but at the moment, I don't see that being, unless somebody sits down and writes a paragraph, that's not a specific question that we're going to get an answer to.
Deputy, are you willing to accept that in? If not, it'll have to be an amendment.
Well, probably as an amendment. Otherwise, if
Okay,
Mr. Noy
fine.
can explain
Okay,
exactly
sorry.
what he means by this, you know, whether that was a part of the question anyway.
I understand there is another councillor who's going to, alderman who's going to put forward an amendment, and I'd like to hear that first before before I do anything.
Just hold. We'll just, Mr. Noy.
Yeah, look, I think it's really a matter for council to decide exactly what they're seeking for, and if they want further clarification in relation to that matter, then I think it's appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Noy. Alderman Thomas. Oh no, you've already spoken, so Alderman Barakis.
Thank you, Chair, and I think I agree with what Alderman Sexton said. I think that gives me a good good segue into what I was going to raise. I think just before I start, and just going on, I had a similar concern to what Alderman Sexton had. Just in regards to the language specifically in question 4, if I am wanting a cycle path in Burnett Street and if I'm in favour of a cycle path, I can tick the box that says I want to install an uphill cycle path. But if I'm in favour of, if I'm one of the people that's been calling for more car parking in Condell Place, I can tick the box that I would like to investigate opportunities for additional off-street parking. There seems to be some very specific, exploring the development of a cycling shimmy route connecting North Hobart and West Hobart. There seems to be a lot of specificity in some questions and a lot of vagity in a lot of other questions. I just question, what was the reasoning behind some of the language included in the questions?
Yeah, look, very, very good question. Some of the specific questions come out of the report, the consultant's report. The issue of additional off-street car parking, for example, didn't come out of the consultant's report and was a matter that was raised at the last meeting that determined this matter, and hence we responded to the wishes of council and included that as a general additional question as required.
Thank you. I think what we've got in front of us is leaps and bounds better than what we had a few weeks ago, and thank you for bringing that back to us so quickly. I think it does avoid some of the, I'd hesitate to use the word push polling, but I think there was a couple of instances in which it almost felt like it was people being led down a path to answer the question, or to get a certain response. I think part of that was the if you don't agree, why not sort of thing, and I think it's good that there's been pretty much a consensus on that being an improvement as well. I still think, and just going off my question, there does need to be, look, there's people, and as I said last time, there's people that really, really, really want a increase in parking in North Hobart, and there's people that really don't want that, and that's fine. That's why we're having this discussion. But I think that needs to be a question that somebody can answer clean and clear. We don't need to be, I think if we're going through the consultation report and we're trying to sit there and interpret what these questions are as to whether or not these people wanted parking or whether or not these people don't want parking, when there's a lot of really, really clear questions and answers to some of the other parts of the precinct plan, I think that's a bad way to go about consultation, especially if we do want to take this seriously. I did have an amendment that I wanted to suggest, and I think I might even put it into two parts so we can try and directly address it as per Alderman Sexton's concerns. But what I was going to propose, and I might propose it as a two-part. So part A, that the General Manager be delegated to revise the proposed questions and or develop new questions in regards to future Condell Place car park, taking account of the feedback provided by North Hobart Traders Association in their submission dated Monday the 30th of November 2020. And then part B, and I'm happy to sort of take advice as to some of the wording, but what I was thinking was in question 4, where one of the tick boxes says current operation of Condell Place as a car park be maintained, that add and possibly extended. And I think that would address that, and if people want to tick that as a box, they can. If people don't agree, they don't tick that as a box. I think it makes it a lot more clear. But I'll put that into two parts and ask that we perhaps vote on the two parts independently, so that one doesn't jeopardise the other.
It's an amendment.
I don't think anyone else has moved an amendment.
There's one amendment here, that's a foreshadowed amendment.
Oh, okay, sorry, yeah.
This is a typo, really, yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't the deputy move the motion?
Motion with that.
motion with the amendment. Motion with the amendment, this is an amendment.
Yeah.
That's the only amendment.
It's a motion
Part of the motion.
to overcome some of the typos.
So I think I'm just moving an amendment.
Anyway, I'll take it as a foreshadowed, it's fine, General Manager, so we don't argue it. It's good.
foreshadowed.
Lord Mayor, thank you.
Can I seek some clarification on the proposed amendments? I mean, I think we did have 2 deputations tonight, and we had one from the traders and we had one from the community association. And I seem to have, I've noted down here, the community association said that what they think needs to happen first is to identify what is most needed in North Hobart, and base any future about Condell Place on the community, the traders and the council agreeing, this is the kind of vision we've got for the place.
Yep.
But I'm just worrying that your amendment is kind of locking in a particular sort of direction for Condell Place.
No, because that's, if I was moving a motion to... Thank you, Chair. If I was moving an amendment that we, in parallel, initiate an EOI, I think that would be true. But all I'm doing is providing that as a specific question. There's plenty of specific questions in this, in other sections that we owe, is... Do we
about
want...
Condell Place and...
Well, no, but there is nothing in there specifically about the parking aspect. But there's things about... do we want to have a cycle lane in the street? Do we want to do this? Do we want to do this? So having Condell Place as a question as well that can be answered. Why is it okay to have specificity about the bicycle lanes and that not affect the precinct plan, but having a direct question about Condell Place? If we're going to do a precinct plan, we need to know whether or not Condell Place is supposed to be part of that. And the only way to do that is to ask the question. You can't answer the question without asking the question. And I think, if people don't agree with it...
But I thought there is a question in the survey already about there being a plan developed for Condell Place. Do people want that plan to include extra parking?
But it doesn't mention parking.
It seems to really dance around
It
seems to really dance around the question of parking, and that's what I'm trying to address, is the dancing around of that. If people in the community think that it's a priority that parking supply is an issue, then they need to be able to tick a box to say that. I think that's so simple. If people don't, they don't tick the box. We can't be leading people into asking questions.
Thank you, Alderman. Sorry to cut you, but we're getting time. Lord Mayor, any other questions? No other questions? Any other questions? Councillor Harvey?
Yes, to the Director, could you inform us how wide these surveys or this survey or this questionnaire will go out? Is it open to anyone, or is it only open to people who live in the precinct or the region or the suburb or the postcode, or how wide? Like, I know I've seen previous surveys where 100% of people in the north of the state, wanted us to do something, and no one in the south in Hobart wanted us to do it. How do we get some assurance that we're not going to have a stacked survey from people all over the state?
As part of the questions in the survey, we indicate, what's their interest. Are they a trader? Are they a resident? Are they a regular visitor? So we can segment the responses accordingly, and it'll be open to anyone, because this is a place that is open to anyone and is visited often by not only residents in the area, but residents in the wider Greater Hobart area. So it's important that we do garner as much response by people that do visit the strip as possible.
And that will be segmented, so we'll know exactly where people have come from.
That's right. So we ask them whether they are a North Hobart resident, are they a trader, a business owner, are they a customer, a shopper, or are they other? And we ask them to specify.
Right.
Just going to make one point, that I'm not sure that what Alderman Barakis is suggesting is necessary, because it seems that it's covered in question 4 anyway. So...
It was an amendment to question 4.
But the current operation of Condell Place as a car park be maintained and opportunities for additional off-street car parking be investigated.
That's short term. 6 to 24 months.
Short term.
Question 8.
Okay, thank you. I've listened to debate. I'm going to say a couple of words. 1976, I've been a trader and a resident of North Hobart. I've seen North Hobart evolve as a trading strip and as a residential and a place for people to come and live and work and visit. I think there's a misconception about what Marty Zuko's vision about North Hobart is, because I think a lot of people have forgotten what I've actually done to actually assist in the amenities of North Hobart. If you go back to prior to 1990, the backyard of the property I own there used to be just a junkyard backyard. One of my visions then was, well, look, this is a walkway here, we've got to do something to improve this. So I built the new building there, and I did it in consultation with the Hobart City Council, which provided improvements for that area and amenities for that area. Because if I hadn't have done so at the time, it'd be still an ugly backyard, and I can show people the photos of it. But not only that, it's a major walkway between Elizabeth Street and the car park. I allowed a mural to go on my wall at no cost to council for about 25 odd years. I've allowed lighting to be put on my building at no cost to council for the amenities. I've even allowed seating to go on my property at no cost to council, so it improves the amenity of North Hobart. So is that just improving business? That's improving the amenity of the area. I actually get irate when people continually want to attack me because all my focus is on the traders. Well, it's not. I've actually been fighting for the residents on the food delivery organisations that park in front of houses, that park in their driveways. I've actually walked the streets of North Hobart and have moved these people on for the residents who are complaining to me and the traders that these people are parking in that area. You know, and there's constant talk about having spaces for people. The walkway is a space for people. We can put more furniture there. The Swan Street Park, we can put more furniture there. The council purchased the Woodyard where the Soundy Park is to build a major park for North Hobart, which is 3 minutes walk. So we need to find the best blend. And there's this constant battle with the Condell car park in which people believe, we should turn it into a green space. Some people believe we should turn it into a multi-storey car park. Marty Zuko's vision is, why don't we build something there where there's winners across the board? And I've been saying it for years, but no one has listened to exactly what I've been saying. Because it could be a two-storey car park. Yes, whether it's cost-effective or not is irrelevant, but it's something's needed in the area that also assists the residents from all these people parking in front of their house. It could also be a two-level car park, maybe with some accommodation. Or it could be a two-level car park with just a green space on the top for a community garden or a space. It could be two-level car parking, one-level accommodation and still a community garden on the top. Let's expand our horizons. You could actually build right across over the Chinese Community Centre and also the building where we got the new chemist going and expand it. Could you just imagine a street party happening in North Hobart and there's people on the ledges across there looking down and having a great time and watching what's going on up and down the street? I'm sorry, everyone's got it wrong in respect of what my vision has been for that car park in North Hobart. I've been part of the vision and the growing vision of North Hobart since its inception, and I really am irate that I'm constantly attacked by people who think that my vision is just about the traders. Well, it's not. And 2 weeks ago, when I when I came up with a number of concerns I had with this, some people laughed at me. But now we're saying what a great idea it was to defer it for 2 weeks to make sure that when we put something out to the public, everyone can have a good look at it and everyone can put down what they want as well. I think that what we've done in the last 2 weeks to make these changes, to improve, to give all the people, the traders and the residents of North Hobart an opportunity to improve their area is a bonus in the last 2 weeks. And I think that what is being proposed by Alderman Barakis also provides us with a little bit more certainty, because as he said, we're defined with all these things that we want, but we're not defined with one. I'll support the amendment and I support this process, and I think it's about time that people started realising where my heart is in respect of North Hobart. It's not just the traders. Now, I'll put the amendment.
Can we hear the amendment, please?
Yes, we'll hear the amendment, please.
Amendment 3 in Part A and Part B. Part A read, the General Manager be delegated to revise proposed questions and or develop new questions in regard to the future of Condell Place car park, taking account of the feedback provided by the North Hobart Traders Association in their submission dated Monday the 30th of November 2020. And the Part B was in relation to question 4, is a question on Condell Place along the lines of the current operation Condell Place car park to include long-term parking options and or multi-storey purpose uses.
Okay, we're taking them in two parts.
Chairman,
Sorry?
can I just be clear?
Yep.
I think Part 2 is an amendment. It's a little bit unclear whether Part 1 of that is necessarily an amendment or a foreshadow, because it does change the nature of the motion.
Here, I'd like them to be foreshadowed.
Okay.
There's
Look.
a motion before you, which is...
Okay, I'll take Part B as an amendment. Part A I'll take after as a foreshadowed. Okay. So
No, sorry, I'd like them both as foreshadowed.
Look, I'm the chairman. Okay. This is what you do, Alderman
Can I get some advice,
Councillor
General
Hunt.
Manager? Do you think they're both foreshadowed?
I think Part 2 of... I'll sit down, sorry, Chairman.
Yeah.
I didn't realise I was in a committee. I think Part 2 of Alderman Barakis's motion can be taken as an amendment to Part 1 of what's before you. I think Part 2 is a foreshadowed.
Okay, that's exactly what I just said.
And can I hear Part 2 again, please?
Okay.
Part 2, the current operation of Condell Place car park to include long-term parking options and or multi-storey purpose uses.
Okay. Thank you. I'll take that amendment. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against?
No.
Show of hands, please. All those in favour?
Zuko, Sexton, Coates, Barakis, Thomas, Briscoe. Councillor Hardy's right, Councillor Dutta, Councillor Sherlock, Deputy Lord Mayor, and the Lord Mayor.
Oh,
Somebody on the...
You missed me in the affirmative.
Councillor Coates, Councillor Ewan, sorry.
Coates and Ewing were
Councillor
yes.
Coates were both...
Yeah, 4.
Oh, yes, I was yes, yep.
4 and 4. Okay. So 6-5. Sorry. 7-5. Sorry. 7-5. Okay. Okay. The amendment's carried. Okay. Now we go to the foreshadowed motion, which I'll take. Oh no, I'll take that after the motion. Can I take it now, gentlemen?
Motion, please.
I'll put the substantive motion, then I'll take the foreshadowed. Okay. I'll put the substantive.
Sorry. So if the substantive motion is lost, what then happens? And the foreshadows, sorry, is what?
No, it's an additional motion. It's not a...
It'll be an additional motion. It's an additional motion. I'm taking it as an additional motion, General Manager. Okay. We're putting the substantive motion now, and then we're going to get an additional motion. All those in favour of the substantive motion as it's put and amended? All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? We no one against. The item's carried unanimously. Thank you. Now I will take the foreshadowed motion by Alderman Barakis. Okay, can it be spoken? Can you just...
Why do we need it again?
All right.
Right, the foreshadow motion was the General Manager be delegated to revise the proposed questions and or develop new questions in regard to the future of Condell Place car park, taking account of the feedback provided by the North Hobart Traders Association in their submission dated 30 November 2020.
Okay. General Manager, you may speak.
The substantive motion now includes part one.
Yep.
Endorsing the questions.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got an endorsement
Okay,
of questions.
so,
So would you add?
It needs to be dealt with in council, I think, Chairman. I think that's the best advice I can give. The substantial motion now goes to council, and then Alderman Brackus can move that as an amendment.
In council.
okay. All right, well, it can be moved as an, okay, that's fine. Well, that means we don't need to have the foreshadow. That's clarity. Okay, and that's it. We're closed. Thank you very much.